The Charlie Hebdo satirical newspaper had a fatwa on it, basically in order to punish the paper for mocking Islam in its satirical cartoons. With me now, former United States Attorney General and federal judge Michael Mukasey. All right, Judge, you were involved in one of the first terrorist trials in this country, stemming from the '93 World Trade Center, the bombing.
Right.
And
a plot to blow up other landmarks around New York.
Okay, and there were a lot of people who were very concerned about your security, and I understand that there were security precautions imposed on you. Why was that? Well,
it was felt that these guys are into revenge and are into the kind of thing that they were obviously into in Paris. And I had a 24-hour detail for 11 years.
That's a long time.
Yeah, it's a long time. You kind of, my wife and I didn't have a private conversation in a vehicle for 11 years.
But, you know, the reality is, you know, when you reference what happened in France this week, it's 21, 22 years later. And we are still worried about fatwas on individuals, you know, these satirical cartoonists coming under attack because they're condemning or they're perceived to be condemning Mohammed. With these terror cells and the lone wolves that are out here, can our government even protect us?
I think our government can protect us if they decide that's what they really want to do and pull up their socks and do it.
Okay. What does it mean to pull up your socks?
What it means is, for one thing, to get rid of the political correctness that refuses to describe what it is we're dealing with, to get rid of the political correctness that says we're not going to map different areas of New York City so that we know where various people from different countries would go if they were to hide. The way the mayor of New York got rid of the
Mayor de Blasio. We just talked about that with Ed Mullins from the PBA. The Muslim mapping, or the so-called profiling, as if, you know, we should be looking at kindergarten kids instead of them, they believe is profiling that is inappropriate.
Right. They think that if we're looking at mosques, then if we're not looking at Lutheran churches, that's somehow wrong. That's ridiculous.
It's discriminatory.
Right. It's not.
Of course not. All right. We see Gitmo being emptied out. And the last people in Gitmo are the most serious of the terrorists. And yet the president is releasing them and trading them for a deserter. And I don't care what they say the results are. The Pentagon called him a deserter, Bergdahl, way back when he first left his site. With these guys being released and being basically returned to the battlefield, we're in even more danger, are we not?
Of course. And they are people who have totemic significance and respect when they get back to the battle. There are a number of alumni of Guantanamo who are high up within both Al-Qaeda and ISIS.
Why aren't we trying these guys instead of releasing them?
There are some of them as to whom we don't have evidence that would be sufficient for a court, or that would be the kind of evidence that could be admitted in court. But nonetheless, the circumstances under which they were captured make it quite clear that they are too dangerous to release.
All right. So
there's no reason why we can't continue to hold them. The notion that you have to have a trial in order to hold somebody is ridiculous.
All right. Should we approach these people, these lone wolves and the rest of them? Look, we can't even call it terrorism. I mean, they yell Allahu Akbar. It's workplace violence. But should these cases be handled in the federal civil courts? And I know that there have been a lot of convictions. But at the same time, are they not enemy combatants?
My own view is that we ought to have a separate court, a national security court, that deals with both surveillance issues and trial issues. We're not going to have that until there's another precipitating event, because that's the way things work in Washington. But I think that's what we need.
Is that going to happen?
Another event? Likely.
Soon?
I don't have a crystal ball on that, but it is as clear as day to me that we're going to have another event.
All right. Judge Michael Mukasey, thanks so much for being with us this evening.